I'm your physics teacher from IYS school. So today we continue a chapter that is chapter number 1, heat. And today's topics are heat capacity, specific heat capacity, and the relation between the specific heat capacity and heat capacity. So today we have discussed and the numericals. Now the first topic is heat capacity. So, to understand a heat capacity, we first consider an example. Consider a hot summer day when you were on a beach and you walk on a sand. You feel that it is so hot and when you hardly can walk on it. But when you dip your feet in a water, you feel it was cold. But do you ever notice that heat coming from the sun falls on the sand and the water as well? But sand become too hot and water is still cool. So student, can you tell me that why it is happen? It is happen due to the heat capacity. So to understand these reasons, first we have to understand heat capacity. So here is the definition of heat capacity, which is in front of you. The amount of heat required to raise the temperature of a substance by 1 kilogram or 1 degree centigrade is called heat capacity. Okay, it's mean the amount of heat, the quantity of a heat required to raise the temperature of a substance by 1 degree or 1 Kelvin. Okay, if we have some quantity of a matter and we apply a heat on it, so its temperature is start to raise, and the amount of heat which is required to increase 1 degree centigrade its temperature is called heat capacity. So here is a description of heat capacity. That in the previous example of sand and water, sand required a small amount of heat to raise its temperature. But water required great amount of heat to raise its temperature. That's why we say that water has large heat capacity than the sand. So the amount of heat needed is directly dependent upon the nature of a substance or the rise in a temperature. So the heat capacity is directly proportional to the mass of the substance. So, sorry, heat capacity is directly proportional to the amount of heat required and the change in the temperature. As you can see in a slide that we have write that take a number of samples of different amount of same substance, example copper, and heat them through the same range of temperature. It will be found that the heat required for this purpose is different for different sample. If del Q is the amount of heat needed to raise the temperature of a sample through del T means change in a temperature, then the ratio of del Q over del T is known as a heat capacity of a sample, not a substance. So it is denoted by capital C. So capital C indicate the amount of heat to the ratio of del T, means increase in temperature, increase in the amount of heat divided by increase in the temperature. And the SI unit of the heat capacity is joule per Kelvin. Okay, as we know that the unit of a amount of heat is joule and the unit of a temperature is Kelvin. Okay, so we place the units in place of the quantities and we get the unit of a specific heat, sorry, heat capacity. So we are moving toward the next topic that is related to the specific heat. Okay, so student, as you can see that we have discussed in the previous slide that the formula of a heat capacity is C is equals to del Q over del T. So by looking at the formula, you can observe that by increasing the temperature, heat capacity is decreases. Okay, as you can see that temperature change in temperature is in a denominator, so it has a inverse relation with the capacity of heat capacity. So by increasing a temperature, uh, heat capacity is decreasing. As we have observed that the temperature of the sand is high, And why it is high? Because the sand absorbs great amount of heat and to increase its temperature quickly. And again, when the temperature is low, so the specific heat is high. So how can we analyze that? As we can see that water is less, as we can see that the temperature of the water is water absorb great amount of heat to increase its temperature, and that's why we say that by increasing a small great amount of temperature, specific heat will be increasing. So now we are moving toward the specific heat capacity. The amount of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 kilogram mass of a substance by 1 Kelvin is called specific heat capacity. So to understand it, we take same nature of material but in a different amount or quantity. Means their masses are different and we provide equal amount of heat to them. So we have observed that the amount of heat required for different samples are different to increase its temperature. And why it is different? Because their masses are different. So the heat capacity is called a specific heat capacity. Okay, I repeat that when we take same nature of a material but in a different amount or quantity, means their masses are different. So we provide equal amount of heat to them. And we have observed that the amount of heat required for different samples are different to increase its temperature. And why it is different? Because of their masses are different. So the heat capacity is called the specific heat capacity. Okay. So here is the relation that the specific heat capacity is directly proportional to the increase in temperature. By increasing the temperature, to increase the temperature, we need greater amount of heat. And similarly, the amount of heat is again directly proportional to the mass. Means as less amount of mass required less amount of heat to raise its temperature, and the greater amount of mass required greater amount of heat to raise its temperature. Now the del Q is become is del Q is equals to Cm del T. It's mean that small c is the constant. As we have combined these two equations, so del Q is directly proportional to m del T. And when we replace that directly proportional sign to the equals to sign, so we have to apply a constant, and that constant is known as the specific heat constant. And here the specific heat is represented by a small capital small c. And do remember that heat capacity is represented by the capital C and specific heat is represented by the small c. Now to find the formula in terms of specific heat, so the formula will become del Q divided by m del T. This m and del T are the factors which is multiplied by the specific heat. So when we shift it toward the other side, it will become del Q divided by m del T. So this is the equation for the specific heat capacity. Okay, and you can see that what is the difference between the heat capacity and specific heat capacity. They both have a same formula, but there is a difference that in a specific heat capacity we have mass in the denominator, and in a heat capacity the formula is only del Q divided by del T. There is no mass in the heat capacity. But as we know that the specific heat capacity is related to the mass. It is the heat which is required to raise the 1 kilogram of a mass. That's why mass is related in the specific heat capacity, and similarly it is also present in a formula. Okay, so this is the formula of specific heat capacity. Now, when we replace the quantities by the units, so can you tell me what will be the unit of a specific heat capacity? Yes, its unit is joule per kilogram per Kelvin. The unit of a specific heat capacity is joule per kilogram per Kelvin. Okay, so do remember it. And that small c is represent the specific heat capacity of a substance. So here are the some specific heat capacity of some material, and you can see that the specific heat capacity of the water is much greater than other material. And why it is much greater? Because water has a greater ability to absorb the heat, and its temperature will be increased slowly. Okay, due to the greater specific heat capacity, its increase in temperature is slow down. The rate of increase in temperature is slow. That's why it has a greater ability to absorb heat from its surrounding. Okay, or we can also say that it is difficult to raise the temperature of a water by a small amount of heat. Similarly, you can see that the specific heat of a copper is very low, that is 387. So it's mean by giving a small amount of heat to copper or mercury or gold, its temperature will be increased rapidly. Okay, there is a rapidly increase in the temperature by giving a small amount of heat, but in a water or ice we required a great amount of heat to raise its temperature. Okay, so this is the why we call it is this specific heat and heat capacity. And now there is a comparison of heat capacity and the specific heat capacity. As I told you that there is a only difference between the formula of heat capacity and specific heat capacity is the mass. So we take the formula of a specific heat capacity and we move or we shift that mass toward the other side, and the formula will become specific heat capacity multiplied by mass is equals to del Q over del T. And we know that the heat capacity is equals to this formula. Now the right hand side of this formula, specific heat formula, the right hand side of the specific heat formula will same as that of the heat capacity. So that's why we replace right hand side to the heat capacity. So the equation will become specific heat capacity multiplied by mass of a given sample is equals to heat capacity. So this is the relation between the specific heat capacity and the heat capacity. I hope you will understand that heat capacity is equals to mass times the specific heat capacity. Okay, so here we have take a screenshot of this slide so you can done your work. And now we are moving towards the other side. Here is the linear expansion of solids. Okay. So the linear expansion of a solid defined as one-dimensional thermal expansion, that is expansion along the length of a long solid body on heating, is called linear thermal expansion. It's mean we take a rod and provide a heat on it. So what will be a result? Its length will be increased. So we analyze that result and in a mathematical form that we take a length of, we take a rod of length L1 at a temperature T1, and now we provide some heat to that rod, and as you can see that the rod is increased, that is the increase in length, that is the length which is increased. And L2 is the total length of the rod after heating. Okay, L1 is the original length at a temperature T1, and L2 is the length at a temperature T2. It's mean it is total length. Okay, so now we have to find that how much it increase. So we have to derive the formula. So here is the formula that let L1 be the original length at a temperature T1. As I told you, the rod is heated to the temperature T2 so that its length increases to L2. Okay. Now del L be the increase in length. Okay. So do remember it that del L be the increase in length. So increase in length, mathematical form of increase in length can be given as del L is equals to L2 minus L1. L2 is the total length at a temperature T2, that is the length after heating an object, and L1 is the original length. So when we subtract both of them, we will get the increase in length, that how much length is increased. Okay, so now when the rise in temperature due to heating is del T. Del T means T2 minus T1, that is change in a temperature. So T2 is the increased temperature and T1 is the initial or original temperature. So when we subtract both of them, we will get the rise in temperature, or we can say that the change in a temperature. Now, it is found experimentally that the increase in length varies directly with the original length. Okay. So here is the mathematical form of that wording, that increase in length is directly proportional to the original length. Okay. Increase in length is directly proportional to the increase to the original length. And when similarly, increase in length is also directly proportional to the increase in temperature. It's mean if we take a rod of shorter length, so the increase in length will also be less. And if we take a long rod having a long length, so the increase in length is also greater. Similarly, if we increase the temperature at a greater amount, so the increase in length is also greater. And if we increase the temperature with a small amount, so increase in length will also be small. So this is the relation. That's how the increase in length is directly proportional to the original length and the increase in the temperature. So, and in the next step, what we have done, we just replace the directly proportional sign to the equals to sign, and we apply a constant. And student, do remember it, that there is the same symbols, but for two different purposes. In a first step, alpha, this is the directly proportional sign. And in a second step, it is a Greek letter alpha, which is used to represent a coefficient, and that coefficient is known as coefficient of linear thermal expansion. Okay, so in a first step it is a directly proportional sign, and in a second step it is a coefficient of linear thermal expansion. So when we derive the formula of a linear thermal expansion, so we have to shift L1 del T toward the other side, means it will divide with the del L, and the formula will become del L linear coefficient of linear expansion is equals to change in length divided by original length and change in temperature. This is the formula of a coefficient of linear expansion. So I repeat that del L means increase in length, okay, and L1 is the original length, and del T is the increase in temperature, or we can say that the change in temperature. I hope now you will understand that what is linear expansion, and to find the unit of a linear coefficient of linear expansion. So how we find the unit of linear coefficient of linear expansion? We just replace the quantities by their unit. So as we in a numerator we have length, so we replace it by the meter, and as we in the denominator we have L1, so we also replace it by the meter, and the meter in the numerator will cancel the meter in the denominator, and the only unit which we have is Kelvin, because the SI unit of the temperature is Kelvin. So the unit of coefficient of linear expansion will remain as per Kelvin or per degree centigrade. This is the SI unit of coefficient of linear expansion. Okay. So this is the full description of a linear expansion and coefficient of linear expansion, and how we define it by using that formula. So coefficient of linear expansion will be defined as change in length per unit length per degree rise in temperature. Okay, I repeat, change in length per unit length per degree rise in temperature. So this is the mathematical definition of coefficient of linear thermal expansion, and we have also discussed the SI unit of coefficient of linear thermal expansion. Okay, so now we are moving toward the next topic, which is related to the numericals. Okay, so here is a numerical, that a metal rod of diameter 1 centimeter measured 50 centimeter in length at 20 degrees centigrade. When it is heated to 95 degrees centigrade, its length becomes 50.06 centimeter. So what is the coefficient of linear expansion of the rod? What will be its length when it is cooled to 0 degrees centigrade? Okay, so first we make the data. As you can see that diameter is 1 centimeter, length is 50 centimeter, the L1 is 50 centimeter, means it is the original length. Okay, so and after some time its length will be changed and it will become 50.06 centimeter, and do remember that it is the total length at a temperature T2. Okay, L1 is the length at the temperature T1, that is 20 degrees centigrade, and L2 is the length at the temperature T2, that is 95 degrees centigrade. Now, what we have to find, that what is the coefficient of linear expansion of the rod, that is the uh, quantity which we have to find. And in the second part, what will be its length when it is cooled to 0 degree centigrade, means in the second part we have to find again the original length, or we can say that the total length, but at this time this total length must be at 0 degree centigrade. Okay, so do remember it that L2 have to find at 0 degree centigrade. So now take a screenshot and we are moving toward the solution of that numerical. So here's the numerical, that we take a formula of coefficient of linear expansion. As you can see that in a formula we have del L, and we know very well that del L is the increase in length. So to find the increase in length, we can write L2 minus L1, means length at a temperature T2 minus length at a temperature T1. Okay. Now L1 remains same because it is the original length, and here we have del T. Del T means increase in a temperature. So how we can find the increase in a temperature? By subtracting the final temperature minus initial temperature, so that we can find the change in the temperature. Similarly, change in length can be found by the final length minus initial length. Okay, I hope you will understand that why we change del L into L2 minus L1 and del 2 is equals to T2 minus T1. And now, as we know that the total length at the temperature T2 is 50.06 and the L1 is 50, we replace the quantities by their values, and after doing the simplification step, after subtracting the numerators, we will find a value of 0.06 in the numerator, and when we subtract both of them, we will get 75, and when we multiply it by 50, we will get that value. So now when we divide these two values, so the answer is 16 into 10 raised to power minus 6 degrees centigrade. Okay, per degree centigrade. So here is the coefficient of linear expansion. Here is the value of coefficient of linear expansion. And as I told you that in SI units, its unit is per degrees Kelvin or per Kelvin or per degree centigrade. Okay, now we are moving toward the next part of the numerical, and that is to find the length of a rod at a temperature 0 degree centigrade. So here you have to remember one thing, that the total length of the formula is this: L2 is equals to L1 1 plus alpha del T. And now we have to find the increase in length at temperature 0 degree centigrade. So do remember it that the initial temperature remains same. Okay, and what will be the initial temperature? As you can see here that T1 is 20 degrees. So the initial temperature remains same, but now the final temperature will change and it will become 0 degree centigrade. Here the final temperature, that is T2, is 95, but here the final temperature will be changed and it will become 0 degree centigrade, because we have to find a length at 0 degree centigrade. So now by taking this formula and replace all the quantities by their unit, by their values, so the equation will become L1 is replaced by 50, 1 remains same, plus remains same, and alpha is the coefficient of linear expansion. So that's why we have find the value of coefficient of linear expansion in a part A, and now we are using this value to find the L2. So here we replace coefficient of linear expansion by its value, which we have find out in a part A, and we replace del T by 0 minus 20 degrees centigrade. You have to remember that thing, that here the value of T2 is 0 because the temperature will be changed, and initial temperature remains same, that is 20 degrees centigrade. Okay. Now what we have done, when we multiply that 20 by the 16, and the answer is this: 32 into 10 raised to power minus 5. And now after doing the simplification step, we will get the change in the length at a temperature T2 is 49.984 centimeter. Okay, as the length in the numerical is given in a centimeter, so we again find the uh, answer in a centimeter, because all the systems are in a CGS system, all the values are in a CGS system, so that's why we remain in a CGS system. In a numerical, all the values are given in a CGS system, so we in a solution, the answer will also be in a CGS system. Okay, so again we have discussed a numerical, that is question number 2, and it is related that the given mass of a gas has a volume 4.5 into 10 to the power minus 5 cubic meter at a pressure of 30 kilopascal. At a pressure of 30 kilopascal, what will be the volume of the gas if the pressure is to 50 kilopascal? 50 kilopascal, while the temperature is kept constant. Okay, so here is the use of this. Actually, this numerical is related to the general gas equation. If you again read the numerical property, you will find that they treat a gas at different pressure and records their volume. And similarly, they again treat the similar gas with the different temperature, and they find out the volume of at that pressure. So here the data of this numerical will become V1 is 4.5 into 10 to the power minus 5, that is given, and the pressure is 30.0 kilopascal. Okay, as you can see that in a numerical we have kilopascal, so we have to change that kilopascal into a pascal, and that's why we multiply it with by the 1000, and again kilopascal is given to find the pressure, so we again multiply it with the 1000, and these are the pascals, pressure which is in a pascals. No, so now the temperature is remain constant, and what we have to find, we have to find the V2, that is the change in a volume at a temperature P2. So we take the formula of general gas equation, that is when the same amount of a gas is treated at a different pressure, and we have to record that volume at that pressure. So we use that form of the general gas equation, that P1 V1 is equals to P2 V2. Why we take, I have told you why we take that form of the general gas equation, because it is a same gas which is treated at a different pressure. Okay, so we replace the quantities by the unit. As you can see that we have to find the value of V2. So what we have done, that we shift the 50,000 toward the left hand side, and it will become like this. It will divide with the factors which is present on which is already present on the numerator. So when we divide it, so what will happen? This is will the answer, that will be the answer, that V2 is equals to 2.7 into 10 raised to power minus 5 cubic meter. That is the required answer of V2. This is that how much volume is will be noted at a pressure P2. Okay, so take a screenshot of this slide, and we will move toward the other. That is question number 3. An electric heater An electric heater of power 50 volt rise the temperature of 4.0 kilogram of a liquid from 10 degree centigrade to 15 degree centigrade in 100 seconds. Okay, so calculate the heat capacity of 4.0 kilogram of the liquid and specific heat capacity of the liquid. Okay, so here we have a data, and as you can see that in our data, power is given, and power is 500 watt and mass is 4.0 kilogram. So temperature is given in a centigrade, and now we have to change it in a Kelvin. And why we change it? Because all the units are given in a SI unit, so that's why we change it to a Kelvin. So 15 degrees centigrade plus 273 is equals to 238. And so this is the temperature at a temperature at a Kelvin with a unit Kelvin, and this is the temperature T2 is equals to 238 Kelvin. Now the temperature time is given, that is 100 seconds. And what we have to find? We have to find the both heat capacity and specific heat capacity. Okay. So here we find the heat capacity. Here is the formula of heat capacity. But as we don't have the del Q, that is amount of heat is unknown. So to find the amount of heat, we use the formula of a power. That is power is equals to work done upon time. And here the work done is replaced by the amount of heat, and the formula will become amount of heat is equals to P into T, that is power multiplied by time. So we multiply power with the time and we get the amount of heat. Okay. So now we use that amount of heat to find the specific, to find the heat capacity. So we replace the quantities by their units and it will become the equation like that: 50,000 divided by 288 minus 283. And when we subtract these two factors, the answer is 5. And when we divide both of them, the answer will become 10,000. Okay. So this is the heat capacity. So 10,000 is the heat capacity. And when we have to find the specific heat capacity, it will become del Q divided by M del T. So we replace the quantities by their units and the mass will become 4.0. Okay. Here the mass is 4.0. So we replace the quantities by the units, and after doing the simplification step, we will get the answer of the specific heat capacity. Okay, so that is 2500 joules per kilogram per Kelvin. This is the amount of specific heat capacity. So take a screenshot of that slide. So it will be helpful for you that how you will find, and do remember that the answers are not similar as that of the book. Okay, we have some difference because it is a misprinting in the book, and due to which the answer is different. Now there is a home task. So define heat capacity and specific heat capacity. Also write the formula and units. And you will find the answers of these questions from page number 200 and 201. Okay. And do remember that write down the formula and units of these two quantities. Now, the question number 2 is compare heat capacity and specific heat capacity. And again, you will find the answer from page number 201. And now in question number 3, practice example 11.4 from book page number 190 and practice example 1.3 from book page number 199. Okay, so try to do the numericals which we have shared from the slides, and you also have to do that two numericals also in your fair copies, that is example 11.4 and example 11.3. Okay, so take a screenshots of that slide so that you can complete your work. And this is all from my side.